Hello and welcome to this special edition of Crash Talk Sports. I am your host, Matt Bunton, and I am here with
Jayden Foster
and Thomas Larsen.
And it's Mock Draft Monday, our very first Mock Draft Monday. And basically what we're going to do is we're going to go ahead and do a mock draft. If anyone doesn't know what a mock draft is, then look it up on Google because I am not your servant. So let's go ahead and let's get this started. And the first overall pick is with the Tennessee Titans. Like, we're just going straight into it.
Yeah.
The Tennessee Titans. Now, I think that there's more options than people think there are, right? Everyone just kind of says Cam Ward and leaves it at that. I think that it can be Travis Hunter. I think it can be Abdul Carter. But for the sake of simplicity and what's most likely going to happen, I think that Cam Ward goes in at number 1.
I agree.
Especially if Shedeur Sanders skips the combine, which is what it seems like is going to happen.
Yeah, I don't see him running the 40, benching, doing all the quarterback drills.
We're talking about Cam Ward for a second. Right?
Yes, sir.
This guy, me and Jayden have both agreed that this guy is the most obvious bust in NFL history.
That nonchalant stuff don't fly in the NFL.
I agree, actually, wholeheartedly. That's part of the reason. Cam Ward, overall, the arm is great. You'd like to see the arm. He has a very, very talented arm. He kind of reminds you of Anthony Richardson a couple years ago. Crazy arm, crazy athletic ability, but can he produce? Anthony Richardson, honestly, was one of my favorite QBs in that draft, but Cam Ward doesn't necessarily have the same accuracy, and that nonchalant bull crap, right, is that going to fly, right? Overall, have him at number 1 because he seems like the best fit for the Titans, and the Titans also seem to quite like him. Some people will argue a different pick here with Travis Hunter or Abdul Carter. I disagree with those picks just because, their argument is, hey, the GM or the lead of their football program basically said, hey, we're not going to, pass up on a generational talent. But what I've learned over the years is, like, you can't take a GM or any piece of the football team to be honest with what they're going to go with. It just doesn't seem to happen. You've seen so many situations they said, oh, we're going to take this player, and then they skip on him. We saw it with the Giants, actually. They said that they were going to take Micah Parsons, and instead they took Kadarius Toney when Micah Parsons was on the board. So
let me see how that worked out for both teams.
Number 2, Cleveland Browns. I think this pick is very easy for me. I like Abdul Carter here. It just makes sense. If Myles Garrett is going to leave, right, you want someone to replace him. And Abdul Carter just seems like the pick. You can talk me into Shedeur Sanders probably, but it just makes more sense to me right now to get Abdul Carter.
They're not getting Abdul Carter. And I will put that on my own life.
Then who are you thinking?
Travis Hunter.
Why?
Because it's Travis Hunter and the Browns are dumb. They're either going to choose Shedeur or Travis Hunter. They're not picking a
Why would they pick Shedeur?
Because they need a quarterback, and they're desperate for a quarterback, so they're going to reach for a quarterback.
But they need a staple piece, and if you draft, what they're
Think
watching...
Think about it. Have the Browns ever drafted smart?
They didn't completely miss on Johnny Manziel. That was the right pick for them, but...
Was it?
He just wanted to smoke, so...
All right, so you're taking Travis Hunter here.
No, I'm taking Shedeur Sanders here.
Shedeur Sanders here.
Mm-hmm.
That's our pick?
I guarantee they're going to pick a quarterback. I guarantee it.
Okay.
I think the quarterback class is just not strong enough for them to want to take.
But they're desperate. Who are they going to have at QB?
Did you not just put it on your life that they were going to take Travis Hunter?
No, I put it on my life for Shedeur Sanders.
No, you didn't. You said Travis Hunter.
No.
I personally think that they can go ahead and run with Jameis Winston. I think
they're
they can
not
do
gonna
that for a season.
That, dude.
They can go with that for a season and draft somebody in next year's quarterback class, which looks particularly stronger in that category. We will go ahead and we will take that pick, honestly, with Shedeur Sanders. I can see that happening. So we're going to go with that right there at number 2. Shedeur Sanders is my favorite quarterback in the class that is in the first round. In terms of who has the highest ceiling, he's not that quarterback in the class, but who has the highest floor, he is that guy.
You mean the lowest floor?
No, the highest floor.
Oh,
Yes. As in, he starts higher up than any other quarterbacks in the class.
I see what you mean.
He currently is better than Jackson Dart. He is currently better than Cam Ward, in my opinion, from what I've seen. He is more accurate. He feels like he has that accuracy and arm athleticism, but not necessarily, the craziest athlete. Like Cam Ward is clearly a faster athlete. The New York Giants, one of my least favorite teams in the NFL. They're division rivals, but you know what? Thank you for Saquon. We're going to go, I'm personally calling right now, with no quarterback on the board, you go best player available. Travis Hunter makes sense here. I think he should for everybody, right?
What would you say is better, their offense or their defense right now?
They both suck.
They both suck. I think that with Malik Neighbors on the offense, you can roll with that, right? Like, you can't just rely on an interior lineman. Obviously, I'm talking about Dexter.
Would you rather include or get like a really good person for defense or get Malik Neighbors a quarterback? I feel like that's the biggest question they want to ask.
Well, I mean, yes, but there's
Malik
no
Neighbors
quarterback here.
What?
You just said Malik Neighbors. Oh, you said get Malik Neighbors
there is
a quarterback.
No quarterback worth taking here. There's no point in it. You can take a shot in Jackson Dart at the top of the second. You can take a shot at also Dylan Gabriel, but you're not taking any quarterbacks right here at this current spot. I'd say even Jalen Milroe in the second is a reach.
On like who the first two picks are?
Absolutely. Now, if Shedeur Sanders drops a 3, he's the pick at 3.
Okay.
Cam Ward drops a 3, he's the pick at 3. Okay. I'm pretty confident in that. The Giants have said in no unnecessary terms that they are desperate for a quarterback.
Say they don't draft one. Who is it? Tyrod Taylor?
Yes, it would be Tyrod Taylor or anyone they pick up in free agency.
I see.
It could also, if you really want to be, if you really want to go there and you're that much of a fan of the guy, you can also go with the Italian. I hope you know who I'm talking about, because otherwise that joke flies over your head.
It just wasn't funny.
Okay. Love you too. That being said, no quarterback here on the board. You go best player available. I think that the best way to fix a roster that's broken on both sides is to help on both sides, and that's Travis Hunter.
That's fair. The Giants, out of anybody, probably would let him play both sides of the ball.
And I think that realistically speaking, Travis Hunter, he will not play full-time on both sides. It just won't work. But I think that he can play full-time on one side, whichever side's more desperate, and then moonlight on the other side, third down plays, big-time situations, fourth quarter. That's what I think.
Here's the only reason I think Travis Hunter isn't as good as he's going to be is because Travis Hunter, without his corner stats, he's not this high up. And Travis Hunter as a receiver, as a receiver without his cornerback stats, he's not as high up on the list as he is. And Travis Hunter as a corner without his receiving stats is not as high up on the list as where he is. And with an NFL team quite possibly not letting him play both sides of the ball, that's where I think he's such a unique player and a special player just because he had the versatility to do both in high school and college. But with an NFL team that more than likely won't let him, I think he doesn't thrive in the NFL.
I do disagree in a sense, because I feel like when it comes down to it, I don't think you have a better corner in the draft. Like, you have Will Johnson, but he had a bad year. Can he bounce back? Probably. But right now, the most secure corner that you can find in the draft, in my opinion, is Travis Hunter. All right, pick 4, New England Patriots. This is another situation where you take the best player available, and that's clearly Abdul Carter.
Yeah.
And Abdul Carter, he was someone that was actually underwhelming for me. This is his first year playing a true edge rusher. But overall, he's still not a bad player. In fact, he is a phenomenal player, and he is someone that you're going to have to develop as a team. But I do quite like the pick at 4 for Abdul Carter. If he is to drop right there, that's probably where he's going to go. I think that Abdul Carter has a very good case to go to the Browns. But we're just going to wait and see, to be fair. You never know what could happen in the NFL draft. And, this is just a prediction of what's going to happen. For the record, the reason why I'm yapping again is because it crashed. So I'm having to re-put in all of the the picks so far. But there we go. Jacksonville Jaguars is between the two Michigan guys. I hope you know who I'm talking about when I say the two Michigan guys. It's Mason Graham or Will Johnson, and there's no in between for me. The defense was awful. I've not seen a worse defense for a very long time. They allowed an average of like 300 yards in through the air for the first like 5 games. Like, that was terrible.
Yeah, that was kind of shaky, especially as defending champions, national champions.
I was talking about the Jags.
I thought we were talking about the Michigan.
I was talking about the Jags.
Jags, all right.
They were abysmal, especially to start the season. They started picking it up a little later on, but
did they make playoffs last year?
They missed playoff last year, but barely. And then the year before that, they won a playoff game. So
did ETN just have a huge drop-off?
He really did. He played really badly. He averaged, I think, 3 yards per carry.
I had zero clue what was going on in Jacksonville last year. I was worried about my own team's troubles.
Personally, what I think is going to happen here is I can see very strongly Mason Graham going right here on the interior. That's my favorite pick. I was a big Will Johnson fan before, but now he's not looking like he's going to fit the scheme quite as well with the coaching changes. So I'm starting to lean towards Mason Graham here, but it's going to be one of the two.
I think the Jags are just all for getting Trevor Lawrence and O-line.
There's just not an O-lineman available on the board besides Will Campbell, who he's not really going to fit your needs.
Yeah.
So that's why I say the defense. The defense was awful. Right? You can address linemen in free agency as well, but you cannot address, quite the caliber of D-line or DB that you can with Will Johnson and Mason Graham.
Welcome to the first 3-hour version of the podcast.
Calm down. All right, Mason Graham?
Yes.
And for the Las Vegas Raiders, it just makes sense, and this is somewhere that me and Jayden disagree. It's Teteroa McMillan for me. Think about T-Mac.
I would hate to see T-Mac go there, though. That's just a wasted career for such a talented person.
He fits the scheme really well. He's a tall guy who can route run. Like, that's pretty much what he is, and he does what he is meant to do very well. So,
don't worry, the Raiders will get Jackson Dart and win the Super Bowl.
He's basically a bigger Devontae. Like, that's really what he is. Bigger, slower Devontae.
And Devontae didn't work out well for the Raiders, so what does that tell you about T-Mac?
The Jets taking Will Campbell is very possible, I think. Will
Agreed.
Johnson also. Will Campbell or Will Johnson, I think, is going to be the pick here. It's between William and William.
I like
Campbell.
William.
Campbell?
LSU.
I like Campbell. Campbell is
Let's
a great
go, Chief.
O-lineman. Will Campbell, I'm a lineman guy, so I like these lineman guys. He's another player that was underwhelming initially, but just noticing the way that he plays, if he plays at guard, which I've been quoted saying that he will play at guard, I think that he will have a phenomenal career there. If he plays tackle, I think his career will be much more underwhelming.
Yeah.
All right, Carolina Panthers. All right, now this is a really tough pick, actually, for me personally.
Who do the Panthers have? I know Bryce Young. Bryce Young.
They have 2 options, in my opinion, and they're both Michigan picks once again, funnily enough. I like Will Johnson or Kenneth Grant, and those are my 2 top picks here.
I think they go Will Johnson, and they pair him up with J.C. Horn and have a pretty decent secondary.
Thomas, you going to say anything before I press the button?
I think that I agree with that.
Okay. The thing about Will Johnson is that he is a very athletic corner. He relies a lot on his athleticism, and it works very well. He also is very good in the zone. He's very much a zone-type player, and he can get picks right there from that position, and he's a really talented guy. He had a very bad season last year. Not very bad, but somewhat of a slump. And he could have done much better, but what I can expect is a Derek Stingley type rookie season where he comes off of a pretty bad season. However, the year before he impressed enough that he already cemented himself into the first round, shows back up, and he plays an incredible season. I can see that happening.
Yes.
I'm very glad for your input.
Agree.
The New Orleans Saints. There are 2 picks here, honestly, again, for me. It's going to be between Ashton Jeanty, surprisingly. When Alvin Kamara is getting older, near the ends of his contract, consistently getting hurt each season, hasn't had a 1,000-yard season either. I don't know if you knew that. That's just a quick fact. Or Malachi Starks. That's the other person I see. Malachi Starks.
Derek Harmon.
Dog, this is the 9th pick. This is the 9th pick in the NFL.
Mike Green.
Shut up.
Mike Green.
Love from Marshall. All right. I think it's
Malik
Ashton Jeanty.
Starks.
Who?
Malik Starks.
Malachi
Starks, my dog.
Malachi Starks.
Jeanty.
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 Starks.
Okay.
Starks.
I'm gonna be the final vote here, I guess, between you two. My vote, I'm gonna go with Jeanty. Like I've had Jeanty fall to the Cowboys so many times. I can see this pick happening though. The more and more that this offseason is continuing, the GMs have hinted towards wanting a running back. If they can't address that through the free agents, then they can definitely do it through the draft. And I think Ashton Jeanty's a perfect pick. I mean, the scheme works so well. He's very similar. He's like, basically, from what I've seen, he looks like he's going to be a better Alvin Kamara.
Oh, yeah.
Chicago Bears right here. And this pick kind of is stumping, honestly.
What pick are we on?
It's pick 10.
Agugba. How long are we on through? The first round?
First round.
Swag. So we got like 22 more.
Yeah, but we can start hurrying it up when we're getting a little bit less into these players.
Yeah.
And I know Jayden's about to be so mad at me, but I'm taking Kelvin Banks Jr. here.
No, you're not. You're not taking him. They're taking Will Campbell.
Will Campbell's gone.
Oh my God, no. No. Who took him? Let me see.
You had the Jets take him, bro. You had the Jets take him. You agreed with this, by the way.
No, wait, let me look.
The Jets took Will Campbell.
They don't take. No, they don't.
That's William.
Kelvin Banks goes here. I'm going to say that the next pick after him is Josh Simmons. So you guys get Josh Simmons.
Who the hell is that? We're not. No.
Josh Simmons, he's probably the best actual true tackle in the class.
Nobody wants a tackle, dude.
Bro, you desperately need a tackle.
No, I want Mike Green.
Shut up, man. Okay.
No, they pick up Jackson Dart.
Obviously,
11.
Jaden's mad because he's had a crush on Kelvin Banks. If you watch the other shows, he's loved Kelvin Banks for so long, and he wants him to go to the Niners. We're going Chicago. Kelvin Banks goes at 10.
11, 49ers. Bangarang, Rufio. Let's go.
All right, so Kelvin Banks is a very, very solid player that we've seen out of the Texas Longhorns system. Now, the Texas Longhorns, they have done an incredible job with their O-line, honestly. Cameron Williams being probably a second to third round pick. Kelvin Banks here. And Kelvin Banks, he's a guy that can slide inside to guard or play to tackle. He's a very versatile player. He's just a little shorter, about the regular size arms, though, for a tackle or a guard. So it's like he can play either position. He's going to be a very versatile O-lineman. With the 11th pick in the NFL draft, I'd like to say Josh Simmons.
I'm not playing my song.
I like Josh Simmons from Ohio State.
Josh Simmons, Ohio State, amazing tackle. I love the guy. He's a great tackle.
He's big and he's fat, and that's how you know he's a good old lineman.
I mean, that's fair. He has long arms, too. Like, actually very long arms. He has well above the average arm.
Josh Simmons, lock it in.
All right, Josh Simmons is going to be locked in.
Next is Malik Starks.
Malachi
Starks, my guy. On the clock, we have the Dallas Cowboys.
They don't get their running back.
And I personally think that the pick should be a lock. It's Luther Burden.
I agree.
There's no O-lineman. So I'm going to say Malachi Starks with the Miami Dolphins.
Yeah, Malik Starks, I agree.
Malachi Starks has awful hands. I'm not even going to lie to you. He cannot catch the football.
Let's lock it in.
But he is a pretty good coverage player, and he can very easily come in and stop the run.
Next pick, who is it?
It's the Indianapolis Colts, and this is the pick that I've always gone with every single time I've seen them.
Jalen Walker.
Shut up.
Georgia.
Mike Green.
Edge rusher.
Tyler Warren out of Penn State.
Mike Green.
Tyler Warren just makes sense. He's
Agreed.
He's more of a Travis Kelce type receiver that can block a little bit better than him. I think that in the right scheme, maybe in Indianapolis, he's going to do a pretty good job. The Atlanta Falcons. This is a kind of tough pick, honestly. I personally like James Pierce here. But you can also go. All you guys are distracted. I just picked Tennessee's.
Who did you select? James Pierce?
Yeah.
Agreed.
13. Or was that 13?
That was not 13. That was 15.
Oh, snap. We're moving faster than I thought. 16.
All right, 16. We're
halfway there.
And these picks are going to move a lot faster.
What is number 16?
God.
Who has the pick?
It's going to be the Arizona Cardinals, and for me, it's Kenneth Grant here.
Yeah.
What's their receiving room looking like?
MHJ and Bums.
Let's see. Marvin Harrison.
I personally like Kenneth Grant. He's a rather smaller style. Like, not necessarily smaller, but he's more of the... Sure, we'll go with it. We'll go with it, actually. The guy has some sneaky athleticism to him. All right. The Cincinnati Bengals select... We're actually going to have to talk about this one a little bit.
What do they need? They don't need receivers.
It's probably going to be edge or linebacker.
Jalen Walker.
Mike Green.
And Jalen Walker's definitely on the board for sure.
I
also like
Green.
I also like Jahad Campbell.
Oh, yeah, that's a good one.
As this guy's saying, Mike Green.
Mike Green.
So who are we going to go with?
Mike Green.
Glaze me. I like it. Mike Green.
Bro, what?
Mike Green? Mike Green? All right. So, Cincinnati Bengals. Are we selecting Mike Green or are we selecting Jahad Campbell?
Jahad Campbell.
Jahad Campbell. He's probably the best true off-the-ball linebacker in the class. He's better than Jalen Walker off the ball, and he can also blitz. He had, I think, 6 sacks throughout the game. Not the game, but throughout the season. So he can blitz. He's a good blitz linebacker, and he's also great off the ball. Seattle Seahawks here. I know you guys probably want to ruin their pick. I like Armand Membu here. It makes sense. Armand Membu.
Whose pick is it?
It is the Seattle Seahawks. They need a tackle. Their youngest tackle.
Give him Jackson Dart.
Agreed.
Armand Membu is...
What do they need? Seahawks most.
Tackle, guard, center, anything
O-line.
on the O-line. Desperately. For the record, one of their current tackles is 36 years old.
How old's Trent Williams?
36.
I think he's like 37.
Tells you about Trent Williams.
Yeah, exactly. I like Armand Membu. He's a good fit. He's out of Mizzou. So.
Never heard of this guy. So Jayden, have you?
What?
Armand Dembadou. Have you heard of this guy?
No.
All right, Matt. This pick's up to you.
Okay, it's Armand Membu. He's, like I said, very good player.
Armand Memorabilia. We like you over here.
He's also developable, honestly. He's one of the guys that are lower on my big board, but also at the same time, he's going to be a little bit higher value because of that developability.
All right, Armand Gumbo to Seattle. Moving on. 18,
Tampa
19?
Bay Buccaneers at 19. Now, this is going to be an interesting pick because what do the Tampa Bay Buccaneers really need? They need an edge rush. They need a linebacker because, Devin White was just about the bust of the century. So what do they do here? They could also go corner.
Yeah, they do need a corner.
They need like 3 positions, and they need them all equally as bad. Personally, I would lean towards the corner position. I like Jahdae Barron here. He's probably the best corner in the class besides maybe Will Johnson. And so, I mean, seems like an obvious pick here, but Siobhan Rebel fits the scheme really well.
Is Antoine Winfield still on the Buccaneers?
He is.
Okay,
and
so they don't need safeties.
Well, one of my picks as well is Nick Emanwari, who I've mentioned on the podcast before, and he is blazing fast, and they only have a free safety. They need someone who can cover the strong side, and Nick Emanwari seems like the guy that can do that.
If they need a strong safety,
I personally think Nick Emanwari, he has the fastest speed out of probably any DB in the class.
Emeka Aguba.
Agreed.
Nico Emanwari. Lock it in.
The Denver Broncos here seems like a fairly straightforward pick, to be honest. You want somebody who can be a tight end pass catcher for you, and Colson Loveland is probably the best pure pass catchers in the entire draft, not even just at his position. I think he may have better hands than most of the wide receivers in this draft, and he runs these routes crisp, and I love those crisp route runners. So we're going to go Colson Loveland here to the Denver Broncos.
Are we at 21?
We are at 21 to the Pittsburgh Steelers, yep. Getting rather close to that sweet, sweet number 32. And I can see this pick going multiple ways, but my personal favorite pick here is going to be Emeka Egbuka. It's going to be up to you guys whether or not we go with him.
Like I said, I agree.
I do too. I'm not like...
I like Emeka Egbuka. I'm going to have to give you guys my spreadsheet.
That's the Ohio State receiver?
That is the Ohio State wide receiver. Standing pretty tall, pretty good route running, pretty decent speed.
How tall are we talking?
He's about 6'2", but on the higher side of 6'2", so closer to 6'3".
I see. So he's like a
kind of reminds me of George Pickens, the way he plays.
Pickens. Brandon Ayuk? Healthy Brandon Ayuk?
Yeah, I mean, kind of similar.
George Pickens, man, that's a guy to watch.
He is.
I like that guy.
The Los Angeles Chargers, I think they desperately need a running back really bad. And I think that also another thing is that their coach, who's their coach again?
Harbaugh?
Yeah. Harbaugh, he likes his running backs quite a bit. And he has not been able to deal with an unhealthy, running back core, honestly. Like they've dealt with a core rather than just one or two running backs. They've had something like 3 running backs, maybe 4 running backs over the span of last season. The way that you fix that is Amarion Hampton, who is easily, for me, the second best running back in the class. So we're going to go with him. Do you know anything about this guy?
Harmon? Or who are we talking about?
Amarion Hampton.
Hampton.
NC
I think
guy.
I've heard the name.
NC guy. Played very well this year. Played very well last year as well. And a lot of people thought his production would go down.
We're talking NC State or UNC?
NC State.
Okay.
A lot of people thought that he was going to go down significantly in production after, good old Drake May left. And he didn't. He actually had a better season this year than he did last year. Led the team in total touchdowns, besides, the quarterback who should be leading the game in touchdowns.
Sounds like something the Chargers would heavily consider.
So I like that. And Green Bay Packers, for me, it's been Jahdae Barron every time if he's here.
Okay.
Great guy. Hook 'em horns. I'm a Texas fan, so easily for me, he is probably the most not only fun to watch, but also probably the best player on that team. And he deserves a spot pretty, at least in the first round. Arguably was the best player in college football for corners this year. He played better than Will Johnson did. Played better than even Travis Hunter did. So I like him. Michael Williams out of Georgia.
Agreed.
Also, Walter Nolan's here, which I might want to take too.
Who's the pick to?
Minnesota Vikings.
Minnesota.
What number is this, like 20?
21. 24. Sorry, 24. Pick 24, Minnesota Vikings. I like Walter Nolan here. I like Michael Williams here.
Okay.
There's a series of players that would be great in this situation. Even Jalen Walker is right here. I mean, if he's here, you can take him. Derek Harmon.
Jalen Reed.
I hate you so much. We're going to go Walter Nolan, though. This guy is someone who climbed up the draft boards. He was originally...
I haven't heard of him before, so...
he was originally a second to third round pick, and he has been climbing, especially with his frame. The guy's somewhat smaller in terms of, D lineman. He comes in at around 290, which is on the smaller side. Usually you have 330, 340. However, the guy's nimble.
Big boys down there.
He's quick. He is strong as, I was about to say something I'm not allowed to say on this podcast.
Strong as a nickel.
I love, this is the Houston Texans, by the way. Interior D-line is definitely on the board. And, I mean, Derek Harmon is...
Oregon.
Right here. You know this guy. You give us some insight on this guy.
Derek Harmon is a big physical boy. He is known to be a bit of a bull rusher. He's a very big force in the run game. My notes are telling me that he's an exceptional pass rusher, and somebody really compared him to Chris Jones.
That's a fair comparison.
He carries a lot of weight, though. He has a very top-heavy framing. Can get caught behind lateral blocks, opening up lanes. And once you're fatigued, he's known to be a little sloppy, getting penalties in the late game, which comes from fatigue. As a former D lineman, I can tell you that happens.
Los Angeles Rams have already, I'm going straight into some news right here, have already announced that Cooper Kupp most likely will not be on the team next year. If that's the case, then receiver is definitely in the list of priorities to draft. Who else here than Matthew Golden? He's basically a clone of the player that you already have, except he's younger and he's more developable, especially behind Puka Nacua, who is already known to be a very good route runner.
All right.
So I love that pick. Another, hook 'em horns type situation. Mm-hmm. He's a good old Texas Longhorn and probably one of the best route runners in the entire draft. He's at least top 3 in terms of route running. The guy is great at just, getting into that space and catching the football. He's also been a return man, so he has that speed, that nimbleness, and he can make people miss in open field. I love that. Baltimore Ravens, it's finally your time, Jayden.
Mike
Green.
Marshall, man.
I love the guy. I've believed in him ever since, I saw him play at Marshall about, 4 or 5 months ago. And he was ranked as like a second to third round pick, started climbing up the boards. I kept on looking into him, and I thought the guy looks insane. He has some of the best finesse moves out of anybody in this draft. The only issue, Senior Bowl weigh-in, guy clocked in at 236.
Yikes.
Very, very small. If he can gain weight by the combine, which is next week, he is definitely going to be a first-round pick. In fact, I'd argue he's a top 16 pick if he gains that weight. If he doesn't, he might lean towards the end of the first, early second. But overall, very talented player. I love him. He also can play that 3-4 scheme off the edge. That's what teams love, is someone that can play kind of like that Micah Parsons LT kind of style, where they can come off the edge or play off the ball. Detroit Lions. We have some players that really have fallen down, and I'm thinking best player available is definitely on the board for the Lions. And the more I look at it, the more I like Jalen Walker.
Mm-hmm.
And this guy's someone who's...
There are different Jalen we like.
Shut up. How many Jalens are there, though? Like, geez, dude. Jalen Walker, he's like a hybrid, just like I said before about Mike Green. Now, this guy is someone who has played both positions more frequently.
Yeah.
Mike Green is more of an edge rusher, true edge rusher. He had 17 sacks. Jalen Walker is someone who's done both. Again, he has leaned towards the edge, but he is also still listed here as a linebacker.
A lot of people are saying that he might have the quickest first step in the nation.
He does have a very good first step. He does get overpowered by those strong left tackles or right tackles, whoever he's going up against. And so that's what he's got to work on. He's got to work on getting out of the range of those strong situations. And if he can do that, he's going to have a great NFL career. The Commanders. We're getting to the end of these picks, by the way.
What pick is this?
29. Washington Commanders, they have many options. They can go Shamar Stewart, who has been a guy that's been climbing up people's rankings because he is so athletic. Same situation with Mykel Williams. I don't love either of them, I'm going to be so honest. But I think here at the position, they may as well take one.
You know, wasn't it... What position do they need?
They need edge really badly because they traded both of theirs away, if you remember. You got one of them, Chase Young, and then they traded away their other one, whatever his name was.
Nobody.
But they also need wide receiver, but there's not really one to take here.
Yeah.
They need tackle, but once again, not really one to take here besides maybe Gray Zabel, who I talked about on today's show, by the way. And they also need corner pretty badly. And corner, there is one to take here. I'd argue that there is only one to take here. It's Siobhan Revel. But I like Mykel Williams or Shamar Stewart coming off the edge for them.
I go with Stewart.
Shamar Stewart out of Texas A&M. Mainly pure athleticism, raw athleticism, coachable though. So you can go ahead and switch some stuff up with the style he plays. Buffalo Bills. We're reaching the 30th pick right here. And the Buffalo Bills, in my humble opinion, quite need some DBs. And I think Benjamin Morrison is right here. Siobhan Revel is right here.
Okay.
Those are my two main picks. I love those picks. They don't need someone coming off the edge. They have not Craig Newsome. No, they have Greg Rousseau. And I'm going to take Siobhan Revel. He's from East Carolina.
East Carolina, go Pirates.
Very speedy boy. He has great man coverage, decent zone coverage. He kind of reminds me of the style which Travis Hunter plays when he's playing corner, which obviously you like to see that. And he flies across the field as well. He's going to put clamps up. He's great in the press zone. Yeah, when he's playing press, he's great. Now, the one scare that I have is if he plays off, does he have the awareness to go ahead and try to switch off with that robber zone if they're playing something like that? Or does he have that awareness to be able to switch up the way that he's covering these players if they run short?
I don't think he does at the moment. He didn't show signs of it in college, but I think that's easily something that an NFL-type coach or developer can help him develop. So I'm not mad at him going here.
Absolutely. All right, the Kansas City Chiefs, they desperately need a tackle. Like, Juwan Taylor is not the answer. Joe Tooney should never have been playing tackle. He should move inside to guard. If they can make something happen with the tackle, then they absolutely can. Or the guard. If they can switch inside, if they can get a player to play guard in place of Joe Tooney since he's getting old, it's also amazing. The only position in the O-line that you feel absolutely secure with is Creed Humphrey. And that's it. Which is why I like to take Gray Zabel right here. I mean, the guy can play tackle. He can play guard. He can get reps at either. North Dakota State guy. Tested amazing at the Senior Bowl. One of the best Senior Bowl players that I actually saw out there. Loved to see it. He held his own against pretty much every single one of the edge rushers that we've already talked about, minus Mike Green.
Jeez.
So, I love that. And then our Super Bowl winners, Philadelphia Eagles.
You're an Eagles fan, so I'll let you.
Absolutely. I mean, here's the thing, right? Mykel Williams is right here. We need edge rusher. and that's significant. But you also know we love our O-line guys, which is why I'm starting to lean towards Tyler Booker, who I said is actually a top 15 player in the draft. But if you check my...
if you listen to probably one of the podcasts somewhere in there.
Yeah, check the podcast. I love Tyler Booker.
At Crash Talk Sports. Just click the link in bio. Just go ahead and listen to our other episodes where we talk more about the draft, more about recent NFL knowledge, or news, not knowledge. We have all that.
Jayden Foster has
sprinkled in some NBA stuff. Mostly, we do stick to NFL as that is the kind of basis of the show. But every once in a while, the NBA gets some love.
So, yeah, for sure. Tyler Booker or Mykel Williams. Mykel Williams makes the most sense here.
You're the Eagles fan. Eagles pro.
So, coming off the edge currently, and by the way, that's our mock draft. I'm probably going to take a screenshot of this and ask Miss Toff to post it for us. Really quick, Mykel Williams. While we would love to have Tyler Booker, our guard spots are fine. Our tackle spots we can play for now. Lane Johnson's not retiring yet. He's also still one of the consistently best tackles in the league. So we can wait off on even someone as great as Tyler Booker. In the end, Mykel Williams, another amazing athletic specimen, which, you know, how he loves those. And I feel like Sirianni, he's someone that can coach him up and put him into one of the more skilled players in the category as well. And so... yeah, that's our mock draft. Thank you guys for coming back to you know, as we're an hour after school, by the way. But yeah, that was mock draft Monday, and this is only our first one. Jayden can't wait to do this every, probably 2 to 3 weeks. But yeah, thank you guys for listening to our first mock draft. I'm going to have to cut this down significantly. It'll probably be about 40 minutes, though.
All right.
But yeah, thank you guys for coming on, except for Jayden, because he didn't do anything for us. And thank you guys also for listening. This has been your host, Matt Bunton.
Jayden Foster.
And Jayden Foster. All right.
And Jayden Foster. Go Bears.